So my audio setup is with the very expensive, very elusive, sold out everywhere, GoXLR Mini. And it's fantastic, and it has a bunch of different features and channels. It's so nice. Today, though, we aren't going to be looking at that. We're actually going to be looking at a device that is similarly popular and sleek, an Astro MixAmp. Now, I actually made a throwback video recently on my old recording setup, and I didn't include my audio. I want to show you this big bag of horror that is this. This was my old audio setup. You just see through the plastic that it's just full of cables. This is a big splitter box. It is horrible, and I'm going to show you how to never use that. So GoXLR, I will say, is probably the top of the line. This is what you should strive for if you do YouTube all the time, streaming, anything like that. I just go ahead and get one of these. Don't even watch the video. Just go look at their product page, see if it makes sense, and click buy. Now, if you don't fit into that, let me show you something else. I'll get into the actual Astro MixAmp in just a second, but I want to go over this horrible thing that I had before. So this was like a passive splitter slash mixer, okay? And so what it would do is in the back there's a bunch of different channels, and with this is an amp. Because this thing is passive, I had to power it, and this is just spaghetti. You plug in different cables into here and they go input and output, and you figure everything out to do a bunch of different channels. And this was moderately expensive and such a headache. If you could guess from all these cables being around, it cut out a lot. Now hopefully we can avoid pretty much all of that headache by just using this one device, an Astro MixAmp, which is kind of like a budget GoXLR Mini. Now this thing does only have 2 channels in the way that I'm going to set it up, but it's still going to be really good. I'll go ahead and jump to the PC and run you through me setting it up. Oh wait, actually let me show you the cables. This is a micro USB cable. It's going to connect it to our PC and power it. This is an auxiliary cable. It's also going to go to our PC to act as another channel. Here's a super slick tip I'm going to give you. This thing right here, this little box that says design on it, what this does is this filters out bad sounds that are coming from interference, like the electronics in your PC. If you ever use a USB microphone and you have any of those kind of issues, like weird staticky noise, look into something like this. My PC happens to make some noises whenever I use the auxiliary port, and this is going to filter out a lot of them. Okay, now we can go to the computer. Okay, so if we go through my massive list of audio sources, you'll be able to see this little Astro thing, okay? So this is literally just plugged off of the USB. It's getting power, and by default everything should be going to the game section of the MixAmp. On this particular one I have, Astro has a ton of different MixAmps. For this one that I'm using anyway, it's going to game. And then something I typically don't have plugged into my PC is like actual headphones. So right here on speakers, which a lot of you very well may be using this, just plugging up a little 3.5 millimeter into the back of your PC. I don't do that. But if you do, you can click that and plug the 3.5 millimeter jack into the back of your PC, and then the other end into your MixAmp, and plug that into the auxiliary port on there. And so what that's going to let you do is now you can control what's what and be able to balance them between the game and the voice section. As you can see, we assigned 2 different output devices to it. So what that means is you can go into something like Discord. So we're at Discord, and so the big thing that you can do that I really like about this setup is you go ahead and have your input device be normal, but your output device, what you can do is you can go to either the MixAmp if you want to do that. But what I would do in this particular scenario, since by default like everything on the computer is going to be going to the MixAmp channel, what I would then do is I would go to the speakers, which again, this is your auxiliary cable that you've plugged in. And now this voice dial you have set up for the auxiliary cable in your PC is now actually going to your voice software, Discord. And now you can fade in between them, and now in OBS, you can add them as two separate sources. So on one channel, you can have speakers, and the other one, you can have game, which is the Astro MixAmp. Now, obviously, this device is not a direct replacement at all for the GoXLR series of products, but if you're already set up with your microphone and you only really need 2 channels, not including your microphone, then here's a product you can probably actually find in stock that's going to be much cheaper than the alternative. And that's all there is to it, really. A pretty simple and affordable solution for audio, and if you're looking for that same thing for webcams, well, here's a video I have on my channel. I'll have it linked below. It's how to use a phone as a webcam, which I go over using your own phone or even buying a cheaper, older phone and using that as a standalone device. And that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching.